When I asked my community if they were playing Fortnite on a controller or keyboard and mouse, I was shocked to see that 70% of you guys were using controller, and guess what? I do too. It was only natural for me to create a video and show you my controller setup and settings for better accuracy. We will cover the general setup, the binds, and all sorts of different in-game settings that translate into better aim. By the way, if this video reaches 100 likes, I'll be randomly gifting a 1-month membership to my channel to one of you guys. Good luck! First of all, I've been using an Xbox Elite controller for the past 4 years and still do. For me, I just cannot play without this and I got used to it quite quickly. The biggest hurdle to getting this controller is the price, which is currently at $229. Now, you might be like, but why pay 3 times the amount of a normal controller? And it's a fair question. To me, the biggest value and the main reason I bought this controller was to get better. And in case you're still wondering, yes, it does make a big impact on your aim. When you're able to use paddles in the back that act as additional triggers to replace the A, B, X, and Y buttons, you're definitely gonna have a significant advantage because you can now always leave your right thumb on the right thumbstick. This is huge because that means you never have to remove your thumb, so your aim stays exactly where you need it to be, without ever being reset in the middle if you were to press the main buttons with your right thumb. So this means you can jump, slide, crouch, while still having complete control of where your right thumbstick is being moved at the same time. You can decide if you add 1, 2, 3, or 4 paddles in the back of your controller, and personally I went all in with 4 paddles the very first time I used this controller. At first it feels a little weird, but over time you'll get used to press the paddles with your ring and pinky fingers. On top of this main advantage, you can also customize the thumbstick toppers. Some of them have a different grip texture and others have a different height. You can also change the D-pads if you want to. You have control on the sensitivity curves, the distance at which your triggers are activated, custom button mapping, the ability to save 3 different profiles, and more. There's also an additional thing I've added to my controller, but it's not included in the standard Elite controller package. It's called Precision Rings or Aim Rings. These are produced by KontrolFreek, and no, I'm not sponsored by them. I just believe it's a very good product to try. Aim Rings are affordable, priced at just $15.99 Canadian dollars. Basically, what they do is that they restrict the speed at which you flick the stick by adding resistance to your movements. They do indeed make a subtle difference. The only trade-off is that your aim movement may feel slower overall, but this isn't necessarily a downside. Instead of frequently overshooting your target, you approach it more gradually, resulting in fewer misses. I've personally noticed increased accuracy and fewer misses overall. If you're interested in this product, I'll include the link in my description. Now, let's take a look at my binds. So, the very first thing you need to look at is at the very top, and it's called Controller Binding Presets. Because I do have an Xbox Elite controller, the whole point is to be able to customize everything, so of course I need to select Custom. In the general category, we have Jump. This is obviously one of the main actions in Fortnite, and as you can see, it's bound to the A button. The thing is, I never ever press on the A, B, X, and Y buttons located over the right thumbstick. As a reminder, the whole point is to always keep my right thumb on its thumbstick at all times to control my aim. So this is why I've linked all of these 4 buttons to a specific paddle on the back. As for jumping, the paddle I need to press is the lower one on the left side. To crouch, the X button is the one being used. I've bound the upper left paddle to this button. Keep in mind that when I hold this button, it transitions to sliding instead of just crouching. To sprint, one of the key movements in Zero Build, I need to press on the right thumbstick. Personally, I feel it's pretty comfortable this way. As for the fire bind, I've always kept it to the default button, which is RT for the Xbox controller. Same thing goes for target or aiming down sight, which is LT, the left trigger at the top. To reload, I believe it was X by default, but because it's not the most used action, I decided to bind this one to a different and less used spot. This is why I've linked it to the bottom arrow on the D-pad. When I need to switch weapons, I never change this bind, as I think it doesn't need to be changed. So the right and left bumpers are being used here. When I need to switch my pickaxe, I'm pressing on the left thumbstick for this one. It's important to say that my channel is Zero Build content, but I also play build mode from time to time. That's why the other 2 paddles on the back on the right side were always tied to very important building mechanics. When I need to switch to build mode, or basically pull out my blueprint, I need to press on B, which is the upper right paddle. Of course, you've guessed it, the other very important button is to edit, and this is my Y button. This is the lower right paddle, and as you can see, with this bind setup, I always keep my aim in check with my right thumb never leaving its thumbstick. If you can manage to do the same thing with your binds, I strongly suggest you do the same, as it is definitely a game changer. And for those who are curious, let's check the sensitivity settings. The most crucial setting you need to to look at first is clearly the choice between linear or exponential. I've recently noticed I've been using linear by default for years, but I wanted to give exponential a try. And clearly I saw myself being more accurate and missing fewer shots with the exponential setting compared to linear, especially at long range. I strongly suggest you give both options a try to see which one fits your playing style better. Then I also suggest you activate the advanced options in the sensitivity tab because you'll have more options at your disposal. This is very important to fine-tune your aim on a deeper level. Now go to the advanced look sensitivity tab, and for the horizontal and vertical look speeds, I currently am using a 39% setting. I know some people prefer to have two separate values for these, but personally I feel better when they are the same. I've put my turning horizontal and vertical boosts at 0% because otherwise I feel like the aim doesn't move consistently with the speed at which you move your right thumbstick. Now go down and check out the ADS look horizontal and vertical speed. Once again, I prefer when both values are the same, and for me I like to use an 11% value. Just like I've said earlier about the boosts, I keep them at 0% too for the ADS turning ones. Let's check the controller dead zone now. This is a very important setting you need to change to, and basically what you need to do is to decrease the value to the lowest point possible. When you notice stick drift or unwanted slight movement, that means you need to increase the value to +1. For example, if I put my value at 5 for the right stick dead zone, I will notice the aim going in a random direction without me even moving the aim thumbstick at all. The main reason you want to test these dead zone values is that you will be even more precise with your aim, especially when you do the slightest movements. Depending on the day, sometimes I do add or lower all of these settings by 1%. So for example, I could be at 40% for the horizontal and vertical look and go back to 39% the next day. I don't suggest you go much more than 1% though, as you ideally need to get used to specific numbers over time. Recently, I've also kept track of my accuracy stats after every game on a spreadsheet, and the goal is try to notice which of the values give me the highest accuracy values and eventually stick with these. Now that you have the optimal settings and keybinds for your controller, practice is essential. Luckily, I've put a video featuring the top 11 zero build maps to help you improve your skills. The video is right here, displayed on screen now, so be sure to give it a watch. See you there.